Next one is guilt by association. There are many photographs of, I don't know how many, but there are photographs of Bill Gates with Jeffrey Epstein. It is well documented that they have been in the same place, been photographed together, knew each other, and indeed, Bill Gates, I believe he's even flown on Epstein's plane. So therefore guilty, right? Not only that, but apparently Bill Gates has also been associated with this Abramovich woman who's been accused of satanic things. So there you have it, right? Guilty. He's guilty. What could be more obvious than he's spent time with people who have done things that, in one case, we know Epstein did bad things. Abramovich, that's more of a murky situation, but you're convinced, right? They spent time together. Did I not just open up this Periscope by telling you that I personally know 2 or 3 people on this economic reopening committee? Now, what are the odds of that? The odds, as somebody said earlier in the comments, the odds were pretty good because I'm a public figure. If you're a public figure, have you ever been photographed with or spent significant time with people who you found out later were serious criminals or even were criminals at the time? I have. I have spent time with some of the worst people on the planet Earth. In fact, I've had a serial pedophile in my home as a friend numerous times. A serial convicted pedophile in my home.
Hello.
Personal friend. Sounds bad, right? Except I didn't know it at the time. Do you think I knew it? No, I didn't know it. He went to jail for 15 years soon after. I didn't know he was a pedophile. I didn't know he was a serial pedophile, right? I wouldn't have him in my home if he was a serial pedophile. But if you look at the world of rich and famous people, here's the context that you need to know. Jeffrey Epstein was one of these people who was a social connector. So Jeffrey Epstein knew everybody famous. If you took all the pictures of famous people who have been on his plane, stood next to him, he met, he knows, is in his phone book, it would be like half of the people you've heard of. He was a connector. When people connect with you at, say, this high level, you often say to yourself, well, I don't know much about this person, but this person is the connection to this other person. So it is quite common among the higher levels of rich people, of which I do get a glimpse of that world fairly often. It is very common that people connect independent of what they think of each other, independent of whether they think you're a crook, independent of whether they think you'll go to jail someday, independent of whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, a socialist or a capitalist. At the highest levels, you would find dogs and cats sleeping with each other all over the place, right? The thing you don't think is true is that people with opposite feelings who should hate each other, you think that they don't associate, but you're completely wrong. At the highest, sort of the rich level of people, they all associate. They all associate. And there isn't that much distinction between the worst of them and the best of them in terms of whether they're connected, whether they've ever been to each other's houses, whether they've been on each other's planes. So if you see out of context a picture of a famous pedophile and he's standing next to somebody else you know, of course it should raise a red flag. I agree with that. Of course it should raise a flag. You're like, what are these two doing in that picture together? You don't think I have pictures of me standing with horrible people? Seriously. Do you know how many pictures there must be? I can't think of anybody in particular offhand. But don't you think there are plenty of public pictures of me standing with murderers and God knows what? Of course. I've taken my picture with thousands of people. And some of them are bad. I know that. Have I ever intentionally spent time with people that I knew to have horrible, horrible things in their background? The answer is yes, and I will continue to do so. I exert my right without restriction to associate with anyone. And if you're blaming people by association, that's not rational. It's not rational. And it might be that you just don't understand how normal it is for the worst people in the world to associate with people who are not. It's so common that it doesn't mean anything. Now remember that Epstein and Bill Gates were both in sort of a money-finding world where they were sort of working on these high levels where people were giving money and getting money and donating money and moving money. And so it shouldn't be a big surprise that their paths crossed, but it doesn't mean much more than that. All right.